Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good day and welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this 21st, Sunday, the 21st of February, 2021. Thank you for tuning in. Listen, guys, you guys ready for $300,000 Bitcoin? It might be what we're looking at. I'm going to tell you something that's happening with Bitcoin. Extremely rapidly, it's becoming the place where people want to shove their excess money. And the reason why is if you take a look at the track record of Bitcoin, take a look at the track record of the US dollar, Bitcoin's been appreciating upwards in value and the dollar's been depreciating downwards. And this is going to continue. We're starting to see the first institutional money moving in to the cryptocurrency space. It's just the beginning. This is still the early adopter phase, guys. We're still in there. You can still, if you're buying Bitcoin right now, even at these prices, it's still early adopter, as far as I'm concerned. From where this thing's going, it can break the system. Bitcoin is rapidly approaching an area soon where it's going to become what's called too big to fail. I know you guys have heard that term a lot before. Generally, they apply it to different banks and different institutions that become so big, so systematically important to the financial system, that if they fail, they would take down the entire financial system with them. And so when something gets to that point where it's too big to fail, then if it starts to fail, then the central banks actually have to prop it up so that it doesn't tear down the entire financial system. Well, I figure it this way. Once the cryptocurrency industry passes $3 trillion, it's over. Because it's become too big to fail. $3 trillion is too big a hit for the financial system. Because there's something called a wealth effect. You know? And let's put it this way. Say somebody out there, some normal fellow, say he lives in a trailer park or something, but say a year ago he bought a Bitcoin for $3,000. He went out on a limb and he bought it, and now he still owns it. Well, suddenly he doesn't have $3,000 anymore. He's got $57,000 now. But he's leaving it there. Still, he says, hey, I got $57,000 now. I'm going to go out and buy myself that, summer's coming on, I'm going to go out and buy myself that $1,000 barbecue. Because I got $57,000. I know I haven't spent it, but I'm gonna borrow against it. I'm gonna take my money out of the bank. The dollars are depreciating anyway, and these barbecues are gonna go up in price. So he goes out and he buys a barbecue. He goes and he pays for that barbecue. The store that's selling the barbecue now, they've made a profit. They can hire on a new employee. That new employee starts earning money, starts filtering through the system, starts to grow the system, starts to increase the velocity of money. That's the wealth effect. And the wealth effect is a very, very real effect. And if, on the other hand, if you've got a $3 trillion industry and you wipe it out, the knock-on effects through the financial system could actually bring the financial system down. It's just too much wealth effect gone, if you would. So here's the thing, guys. Bitcoin is starting to move into that territory, and we're seeing more institutional investors come in all the time. I think that, the central banks, they're worried. They're very worried now at this point because they could see some sort of a chain reaction happening here. A critical mass. If we're talking nuclear, something called a critical mass. It goes supercritical. Boom, chain reaction. And picture a couple scientists working in a laboratory, and they got these different nuclear elements and stuff, and they're doing experiments and stuff, and all of a sudden he says, oh no, it's going critical, it's going critical. Oh no, it's going super critical. And one guy goes to run. He says, don't bother running. you can't run 3 miles in a millisecond. You know, I mean, this is the way with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, it could go super critical, and what I mean by that is all of a sudden just greed. Greed fuels this thing. And you got all these investors out there and everything looking, chasing yield and everything else. They start to eye Bitcoin's fact sheets and everything about what it's done. They might do their homework that night. They might get all excited. This is the investment of a lifetime. And it looks like it's still fairly well on the ground floor at 57,000. Now, see, it's all in the way of thinking. There was a time when if you'd said $57,000 Bitcoin, back when Bitcoin was 5 cents, you got to realize that guy actually went out there and bought that pizza. We all know the story. 7,000 Bitcoins for a Domino's pizza. He actually was thinking that he was getting a good deal. Right? It's all in your head. Whatever the Bitcoin price, it's all in your head, whether it's cheap or expensive. And it'll continue that way. When Bitcoin's $300,000, it might be looked at as cheap because now it's going to go to $600,000. Better buy in quick, $300,000 Bitcoin. You know, with all this money that they're printing out there, and being as we're going into a hyperinflation, what's the upper limit for a Bitcoin? Everybody's making all these guesses. Oh, a million, 10 million. Well, I'll tell you what it is. What the upper limit is. I did my homework last night, you know. I was sitting there and I did some calculations on the calculator. But for these calculations to be correct, I have to do it with dollars that are worth what dollars are worth right now, not a hyperinflated dollar. So if I'm going to make these calculations and give you guys an estimate of what Bitcoin is actually going to be, its upper limit of what it could be worth in the financial system, I have to give you these calculations priced with the value that the dollar is worth right now. Okay? Not when they print excess amounts more of them. Say Bitcoin takes 2 or 3 years to get to where it's going, right? Ultimately, and it peaks in price. It finally does peak in price. If it peaks in hyperinflated dollars, and they've printed hundreds of trillions more of these dollars, then that doesn't reflect the true value of what a dollar's worth right now. So I'm going to give you the price of what Bitcoin, the upper limit of what Bitcoin can go to, priced in today's dollars, what the dollars is worth right now, according to my calculations. And by the time it gets there, Bitcoin would be the world reserve currency. The dollar and all the other fiat currencies wouldn't be worth diddly squat, but Bitcoin would be the king of the world. If Bitcoin becomes the king of the world and becomes the savings for the entire world, in today's dollars right now, what would one Bitcoin be worth? If Bitcoin makes it to the pinnacle of success, $10 million of Bitcoin. It would absorb all the world's value. And that's ultimate. That would be the ultimate priced in today's dollars. But now if they inflate the dollar, and the dollar's only worth 1 penny of what it's worth now, well, you multiply that times 100. That's what Bitcoin could go to. That's the potential in front of it, in other words. So if it was like a kid that was eating a pie, if Bitcoin, and the whole monetary system's a pie that Bitcoin's eating, and it's eating it right now. Every time a person buys a Bitcoin, it's eating that pie. How much of the pie would the kid have ate? Well, right now, at this point, he's only stuck his thumb in and licked the cherry pie off of his thumb. And the whole pie is still there. Just one thumbprint's in it. That's all Bitcoin's done so far. It's just taken a little nibble off the edge. It hasn't taken a big bite and swallowed it all. But it's right on the edge. It's ready to swallow all of the value that's stored in everything. So right now, if a man down in America's got a really nice fancy house, you know, Steps outside his house. He says, my house is worth $400,000. He doesn't say my house is worth so much Bitcoin. Time's coming. Times are changing. So we're still on the ground floor with this thing, really. It hasn't really taken off yet. And a lot of people think it's over. They think Bitcoin's in a bubble. I hear bubble, bubble, bubble everywhere about Bitcoin when they're talking about Bitcoin. And I'm thinking just exactly the opposite because of the situation that's involved here with the fiat currencies going into a hyperinflation. Them doing endless stimulus to try to prop the system up. I'm thinking just the opposite. I'm thinking we're near the beginning, not near the end. You know? And so, for you hodlers out there, this is the place to be, is hodling. And you've done all right so far, haven't you? if you're hodling, keep on hodling. Hodl army to the end. Because they've created a situation with a worldwide global Ponzi scheme that started in around 1914 until now. And this worldwide global Ponzi scheme can only end in one way, with their fiat currencies becoming worthless in the end. So hang on, guys. Good things come to those people who are very patient and willing to wait for it. We'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.